Hello, Spirited Seekers. How are you feeling? Like, really? I'm dropping in for another weekly Oracle guidance, and this one's going to be a little bit different because I'm going to be sharing a reading that I did almost a week ago now that has stayed open in my Mesa, my medicine bundle, which I've showed you a little snippet of before. It's a really private practice of mine so far. I'm keeping this to myself until I do feel a bit more ready to share about it, but you're getting another sneak preview today. So, welcome. It's like sharing the insides of my vagina to you. So, really, this is a very sacred tool of mine. And so, because we're recording like this, I'm just going to do something super awkward and tilt it down so you can see actually what I'm working with. So, my medicine bundle, welcome to the inside of my legs, is essentially a practice that I picked up from the shaman that I work with and have been trained in my cacao facilitator training with. And it's a tradition from the Andes, which essentially in the word itself, mesa, translates as the table. And so the idea is that you open your table and it has your masters in it. All of the elements that you call upon for guidance, for clarity, for insight, for strength, for all of these different things. And so you program koyas. So for example, any of the objects in here is called a koya, which is like just something that has a purpose or a meaning to you, and you give it a job, right? So this crystal found me in Bali, and for me, its job is to hold the codes of Lemuria, the lost land, and remind me that there is something much bigger for me to be anchored into when I'm feeling extra human. So that's its job, right? So I'll explain a bit more about the Mesa, but I just wanted to give you that little description in case you're like, whoa, what the hell is going on in there? So this is my teachers, this is my spirited support system, this is where my cosmic council lives, this is where sacred objects from my past, charms, things that hold great meaning to me, live with a job to play in my outer world and my inner world. And so I sat with my Mesa last week upon arriving in Townsville on the day that I was meant to be moving to Canada. And I needed to ground because that was obviously a big shift for me. And I know for everybody, we're going through big shifts, whether that is, unexpected travel delays, job losses, money changes, anxiety or stress, perhaps you even know somebody who is sick, worry, fear, all of this stuff that is even happening on the collective level that we're tapping into. If you identify as an empath, it might not even be your personal experience. And so having a tool or a practice like this, whether it's just meditation or exercise or creating your own mesa, whatever that means for you, you don't have to do it in a way that is right, like strip the dogma. Just create a ritual to you that grounds you into something bigger at play when we're getting caught up in the day-to-day stuff, okay? And so I asked 4 questions, and I shared these on Instagram last week. If you click my ISO highlight, you'll be able to read the questions. But I'm just going to share top of mind of what come through then, and also what's coming through for us this week now from those same cards that have been sitting in my Mesa all week open. So I asked the card deck in my personal reading last week, what is this phase of time really about? And to really receive and attune to these messages, I invite you now to turn off any distractions, close the door, quit, having multiple browser tabs open, and just sit and breathe. Just feel what it feels like to be here. And notice what it is that you might be asking clarity on, what insights you need, what support you would like to receive. And open yourself now to all of that available information here for you. Okay, so I asked the deck, the Starseed Oracle, what is this phase of time really about for us? And this is the card that came out, the Blue Flame. And I don't know where you are in the world, what you experience, but I've been having encounters with blue lights, waking up to them in the middle of the night, having them come to me in my dreams, things like that. And so when I pulled this card, my whole being listened, was like, whoa, okay, cool. Now, the subheading at the bottom simply says spontaneous awakening, activation, and integration. And so just for a few seconds, really take in that imagery, let it take you where it needs to take you. And I think the subheading for us is really straightforward, actually. This is a time of spontaneous awakening, which Rebecca Campbell so clearly says in the Oracle Guidance book that goes along with this tarot deck that I use, is that even if it's spontaneous, it's a lifelong process. So while all of this might have seemed to happen all of a sudden, this has been coming and coming and coming and coming for eons. We've been leading up to this point in history forever, and we will continue to lead up to anything else that arises that is a complete game changer. So this is our time of awakening, and if you are not activating those extrasensory faculties that you have pretended don't exist, or you are forgetting because they've been suppressed or blocked out or numbed or conditioned out of you, this is your time to activate them, to activate your remembrance of what you really are. And also a phase of integration, which, how perfect is this card? I don't think there could have been a better card to respond to that question of what this time in history is all about for us. Integrating everything we know. We are so addicted to information and consuming. We are over consuming content and information. It's the digital age, right? It's information overload, and this is the opportunity now to integrate that. That means if you feel called to delete all the apps off your phone, do it. If you turn on airplane mode for the next 3 days, do it. If you feel like turning inward and having a silent retreat, do it. Right? Just because now we're in isolation doesn't mean that you'd have to be afraid of being totally alone for a few days. If you're having a ping, as Lacey Phillips calls it, for like a little intuitive nudge to withdraw or tap out from the social media matrix, do that. Like, really allow yourself lots and lots of adequate time to rest, to not be caught up in the busy work of solitude, which is consuming content, right? Listening to every podcast and reading every post. I so acknowledge so much of the awesome stuff that is being created right now, but if you're not intuitively guided to participate, then don't. This is your time to integrate and let it all settle into your cells. One of the taglines of my program, Becoming, which I'm now running as a one-on-one as well, so if you want to go deep into some multi-dimensional mentoring, DM me over on Instagram or head to my website, spiritedseeker.com, to get more info on my program, Becoming. It starts anytime that you're ready to go. The tagline is, you don't need more information, you need more space, right? So here we are, we have the space. Activation, integration. Yeah. The second card pull, which I asked about, how do we use this time? Because that's what the ego wants to know, right? It's the 5-step process. All right, what do I do now? I'm freaking out. I'm by myself. I'm with myself. The card we pulled here is Fall into My Arms. And the subheading is all about surrender. So this card is all about letting go of any notion that you have an idea of what's going on and dropping from head to heart, coming back to truth, listening. This is a really potent time to be listening to your inner compass, not into buying into where this might go, what might happen, the projections and the predictions and the theories. Do your best to, even if you are involved in that, to come back to center and really allow yourself to just let it all go. This is a time that's really emphasizing the chaos of the uncertain world that we have always lived in, right? Everyone's like, these are times of uncertainty. Yes, there might be an added level to that, like, oh, will there be beans at the store when I go? But we are always in an uncertain and unknown universe, right? To be alive and to be human is to be in uncertainty. This has always been the way, but this is really an invitation to surrender to that truth. To be alive is to be in uncertainty. So this time, what we do with it, rather than what it's about, which is what the first card covered, what we do with this time is just fucking let it go. Let go of any concept of logical understanding. Fall into the arms of the cosmic mother, whatever that means for you. Maybe that means going to lay down on the grass at your favorite botanical gardens. Maybe that means staying in bed for a whole day and just seeing what happens. This is a real shedding of operating systems that we've been piling on layers upon layers of for the last little while. So surrender them. Give it up. Give it up to the altar of the Cosmic Mother. The card also talks about holding the opposites, and this is another key theme of being human. To be alive and to be human is to be in the paradox, the duality, right? So many traditions talk about the duality. So light and dark, happy, sad. And holding the opposites for us at this time means, yes, we're in surrender, but we're not being a lazy co-creator. We're an active participant with our energetic signature. So you can be in alignment and also feel fear. That's okay. You can hold the opposite, although you don't need to carry the weight of it, if that makes sense. This is where your practices really come into play. This is the time that you've been training for, whether it's you practice yoga or meditation, or you do Joe Dispenza meditations, or like whatever you've been participating in for your own spiritual wellness. Now is the time not to give that up, but to surrender even more deeply into it, while also being totally okay that the opposite will come up, that you will feel a little off, or maybe you'll experience some fear. Or for me, I experienced a great deal of self-connection yesterday and ended the day feeling really lonely. And that's okay. We can hold the opposites. This is a real bringing to the forefront the extremes of life. And I don't know about you, but I would much rather live in the whole spectrum of what it means to be alive rather than just hang out in the vanilla middle. So, your choice.